Well, I think it's going to be a great ending to this session, especially since John Charles just talked all about TODs, and that's pretty much what I'm going to explain too. So I'm going to share with you my research that I did this summer with Randall O'Toole through the Independence Institute. Show you just a little bit what's going on. Raise your hands if you've been to Colorado. Yes. Oh, you're in the right one. Okay. So what I want to explain is that this is the square state in the West. This is the 8th largest state in square mileage. So the area is pretty huge. There's 85% of it is unoccupied. There's no shortage of land. What I have circled here is the Front Range area along the I-25 corridor. And I don't know about everybody else, but every other state, the speed limit's about 75. Drive like maniacs, and ranges from Fort Collins down to Colorado Springs. And you have world-class skiing here, a lot of oil and gas, and then you have bulk of national forest land, protected BLM lands, and military bases. One of the conflicts that arises in Colorado, since it's an arid, semi-arid climate, is water rights. So you have big-time water issues there. Moving along, these are all of the urban renewal, all the cities in the Front Range in the Denver metropolitan area that have urban renewal authorities. So pretty much ranging from Golden, which is actually, this is where the Independence Institute is located, right about here. Boulder, and all the way. This is the beltway that goes around the city. As you can see, it's not complete. This section right here, the Northwest Corridor, is currently under EIS review, and maybe within the next 5 to 10 years it'll be complete. So also there are many mountain towns that also have urban renewal authorities, such as Steamboat Springs and Estes Park, to name a couple. So, yes. They just implemented one this last 2005. So, and you know, with urban renewal, they have, right. So looking at the urban renewal devices, you've got plenty of tax increment financing going on, and that's how these urban renewal authorities are able to finance their projects. So pretty much it's going to be the powerful tool that empowers the municipal government to subsidize economic redevelopment. So what you've got is how they issue that is through millions of dollars worth of bonds, and they have a window of 25 years in which to repay those back. So what the journalist from Orange County was talking about, these are, I'm just breaking it down, how these cities go into financing their special projects.
How do they pay the interest on those bonds and then pay them back?
Well, we'll get to that. So we'll get to that. Also, you have the property improvement fee. This is not a tax. It's a fee that's on top of your original sale of goods, and you'll see it on your sales receipt. You have eminent domain, of course, and we talked about that. I just want to read you, this is a segment from the Rocky Mountain News. Examples of eminent domain abuse are unfortunately abundant. In 2005, the Lakewood Reinvestment Authority performed a blight study. It found a blighted area 4 miles long, 4 blocks wide, which included more than 1,000 businesses and homes. Now, that area is now called Creekside Redevelopment Area, and was a huge tax break for a Walmart store to go in. Blight, under Colorado law, there is 11 criteria for blight, 4 which have to be met. Still, I think it could be tightened. So urban renewals, it's protected under Colorado law, and there are 47 states that have it in continental U.S. The only one that doesn't is Arizona, so it's pretty much illegal for you to finance through TIF. Going back to the 25-year window, what we're going to talk about in this slideshow is how that 25-year window represents all the money that's being diverted from other sources. These are a lot of the projects going on currently, beginning at Alphabet, Nevada, all the way down to Wheat Ridge. Pretty much all these cities are hedging their bets that if they build it, you will come. Okay. This was not included in the original slide. This is just solely Denver, City and County of Denver. They have multiple projects. There are 20 listed here. The photos are of Lowry, which is a former Air Force base, right, in eastern Denver, and it's now an urban village. Stapleton is the nation's largest infill development.
The old Stapleton Airport, right?
Right,
It's huge.
exactly.
It's an enormous place. I mean,
So I flew out of the new DIA airport today, the Denver International, but I think 5-10 years ago, it was Stapleton, where it passed under I-70, over I-70. Taxes, these pretty much speak for themselves. When you calculate this type of number, pretty much go through the city and county assessor. I'm not a tax attorney, but what Randall and I were working on was the calculation of kind of a top-down look at where the numbers are trickling down to. And so when I spoke to the assessors, they're like, well, how we develop it is from a bottom-up, parcel-by-parcel land use. But nobody's really tracked where the taxes are going. So pretty much what we calculated was that almost $11 million was being lost to the city and county, and that was now going to Denver Urban Renewal Authority. And then pretty much urban renewal, it's not listed in your little pie chart that you get with the assessor. It's under miscellaneous, so it's like, what does miscellaneous mean to your taxes? So then we look at the Denver school system loss to Denver Urban Renewal. That's about $15.5 million. It's pretty much, if you break that down to how much it costs per pupil, and it's about $10,000 per pupil, that breaks down to, that could be 1,500 students that could maybe have gone to school without being financed through government Denver Urban Renewal. Pretty much that's roughly 1 to 2 high schools. So pretty much you get the basic economic principle. What you subsidize, you get more of. This is a mineral light rail. That's the end of the line that goes south. And what you tax, you get less of. And in the process, you have losers where the monies are shifted around in your equation. So it's unfortunate. And now moving in the direction to what John Charles was talking about, TODs. In 2004, you had a referendum that passed that enabled fast tracks to be passed. It was $4.7 billion that was funded and voted on, which made a government subsidy to expand the light rail that starts in the hub of the city and county in Denver all the way down up to Boulder and everywhere else, and you'll see a map of that. So, of course, the buzzwords are smart growth, and it's progressive, and it sounds very, very good. Problem is, how are you going to sell this through financing? Who's going to pay for it? And it's not just, and so this is why I'm talking about Denver, because nobody's really talked about it yet. This is from their website. This is just the city and county in Denver, and this is the downtown hub, and then these are going to be all of the arterial lines going every which way. And so all these circles are specific stations, and transit-oriented developments are going to be popping up all along there. Those are rail lines.
Projected or existing?
So the basic part of it is existing. So this is just showing the city and county of Denver. It's not showing, like, down here is Arapahoe County, Adams County, Jefferson County, and then you have Boulder and Broomfield County. So this is only the Denver. So it is making a spider web down. Okay, so one of the examples I wanted to talk about, does this ring a bell with anybody? Okay. Right, well, this originally was the largest mall west of the Mississippi called Cinderella City, the original Sin City. Now, it was, very grand, very fabulous, 3-tier carousel in there. So this was the place to shop, and this was in Englewood, which was a semi-suburb, kind of edge of the city, but now is an urban center. Back then, they were making way for the future, and aren't we still now? So pretty much this is what Cinderella City looks like now. It is a transit-oriented development. Here you see the rail line, and I've taken that before. It's about $1.50 one way downtown, but I always come back, so.
They knocked down the world's largest shopping mall.
Right. And how they financed it, this was in the early days of TIF. And in 1985, they sold about $30 million worth of bonds. Now with interest, it still hasn't paid for itself, and now they're in default for $45 million worth of bonds. It wasn't backed in full faith or credit by the city, so they're being sued right and left, and all the money they are now generating is going towards those lawsuits. These are some more pictures of what it looks like to live there. There's a big lawn here, and then, so this is a mixed-use retail center. This is the Englewood station, and this is where you're supposed to park your bike.
Are those places selling out?
I don't know exactly the,
What's the demand? I mean, people
Well-
want to live in places like this. That, to me, is
there are always lofts available. This is the second example I want to talk about. I actually am a resident of this city in Lakewood. I live about 4 miles south of this area. This isn't a transit-oriented development. It's just a mixed-use development. It's huge, and it rivals what we talked about with Cinderella City. This was the former Villa Italia Mall. So this was their response to that, and it also was torn down as well. This is a huge site, 104 acres, and in Lakewood, it's kind of jutting up against the foothills, so you have beautiful, majestic Rocky Mountain views. However, you really wouldn't know it if you lived here. This is going to be an example of the downtown little main drag, if you will. And then, so these are going to be your office up there. And this is a multi-phase project. It's not quite done yet. I think it's supposed to be finalized in maybe 2010. And a lot of the empty storefronts have advertisements on them explaining why this is built the way it is. Sidewalk, wide walk, I don't know if you can read that. It says, it's up to you who you bump into around here. This is no ordinary sidewalk. Standing room and passing lanes provided. This is another empty storefront. Our streets are narrower than most cities. Narrow streets make you slow down, making it comfortable for you and your kids. And who can argue with the kids? So,
Now, who's paying for all this? Now, just this marketing campaign being written on walls. I mean, who's paying for this?
it's a public-private partnership with Continuum Partners, right, that's how it's marketed. But they had a tax break of $120 million worth that is through TIF, and pretty much they were in negotiations with West Metro Fire, and this is in Jefferson County. And this isn't an exact number, but West Metro's Fire said they would lose about $20 million from taxes being diverted for this TIF development. Okay, also, in this Belmar area has won numerous, it's won like 10 awards for New Urbanism, Land Institute, EPA Phoenix Awards, and these are examples of probably maybe why. These windmills are adding electricity to the electrical grid and powering these lights at night. And then getting to the parking. Parking is a necessary evil, as are cars, and who doesn't want to drive over creation, especially in the Rocky Mountains? So, multiple parking garages. And then this is an example of the classic architecture that New Urbanism brings to this type of development. I wasn't quite sure if I was in a circus, but I just went with it. But so these are the lily pads, and there's actually audio that goes along with it of like croaking bullfrogs. But I was thinking to myself, hey, if you live in the suburbs, you can probably hear it for real. So, yeah. This is the other thing. One of the previous slides had the sign, I think it looks something like this. It said free Vespa if you buy a loft. But I mean, you certainly can't buy a motorcycle and, violate their noise ordinance over there. But so you've got row houses here that I thought row houses were from the East Coast. I don't know why they're being transplanted to the Rocky Mountain area, but pretty much they're building up, and what it means is if you want to have a view of the Rocky Mountains, you're going to pay a lot, because these type of apartments and condos are ranging from the low 200s to like the 900s. So if you want a really good view, you're going to be paying for it. There was just an article in the Denver Post the other day saying there's a glut of condos on the market because they can't sell. So you wonder why. And I just personally took all these pictures, and I thought to myself, is there a land shortage? I need some elbow room. It's making me claustrophobic. And so this was what I saw for 8 hours when I drove from Denver to Topeka on I-70. So, I was like, wide open spaces. I really enjoyed that drive. It was a really long one. That's another picture. Okay, then I wanted to get to some quick examples of recent developments. This isn't pronounced Louisville, it's Louisville. Now, their Revitalization Commission, also known as an Urban Renewal Authority, they just had a public hearing on August 16th. Standing room only. Everybody was really hacked off because they're trying to create an urban renewal area off a major highway, 42, that would use tax increment financing and also probably use blight and eminent domain concerns. What the real issue was that the city estimated one number and then the county estimated another number, and nobody knows what's going on. So the city estimated $77.5 million of new tax revenue over the next 25 years. The county estimated a loss of $16.5. So taxpayers are mad. They're confused. I don't blame them. And then how could I talk about Colorado and not mention Boulder? It's my favorite liberal utopia in Colorado, and where property rights are also unmentionables. So pretty much alternative transportation, I got these from their websites.
That's the People's Republic of Boulder.
Right. Yeah, So the thing about Boulder is that they have tension between urban renewal and historic districts. They have 9 historic districts and 2 urban renewal TIF districts. Now, also with Boulder, they have a green belt area, they have a urban land or urban growth boundary, they have aggressive open space, and they also have building requirement code. It can't go past 30 feet. You live there. And but they are now accommodating it because the next step is the Transit Village Area Plan, which is going to be a TOD, which is further justified by the fast tracks that was passed because now they got to build it, and so they're accommodating that to 50 feet. Oh, this is just another fact of life. Alternative transportation is the lifestyle in Boulder. So you have to, think like them. TIF reforms, what's going to happen when the subsidies go away? And the other thing is not everybody's really cognizant of what their surroundings are, what's being built. Everybody just kind of drives around and we're like, oh, that's something new that's going up, great. But they don't really understand it. So some of the financial safeguards, such as the Belmar area, the tax increment financing, the $120 million worth of bonds that was sold, is actually being backed by the developer instead of the city. So if they did learn their lessons. So if they do go into default, they're not going to be, the city's not going to go broke. So voting on TIF, why don't you make it a democratic process instead of having unelected urban renewal authority members deciding how you should live? And have the people in the TIF district vote. And then what would be the real price?
Self-bond backed by the city. I want to ask that too. You say the developer stands behind the bond?
Well, this is the biggest developer in the city, Continuum Partners. So then these are the next step of, I'm ready for the next trend beyond smart growth. I don't know about you. And, okay, now, I guess we're ready for questions. I'm done.
Thank you.